Hi, this is Bird from Bird's SVGs, and in this video I'll show you how I put the Doily Edge Gift Bag together, and that's from the For My Mum collection. Okay, so I'm going to start with the base parts of the bag, and we'll be adding the decorative elements onto the bag before we assemble it. It's a lot easier that way to do it while it's flat. Okay, so the first pieces to go on are the lace. The pattern paper need to go on after because they've got reinforced holes that go over the lace pieces. So I'm just adding some glue as quickly as I can before it starts to dry to this lace piece. If you don't have a fine line applicator of some kind, then you can just add some dots around, and that'll be enough to hold it in place. Okay, so we're going to pop this down, making sure not to obstruct those holes there where the ribbon go. And then we'll move on to the lace piece for the side of the bag. And again, I'm adding some glue here as quick as I can. I don't need a lot, just a very small amount to hold these pieces in place. Then I'm lining it up with the lace piece from the front of the box. Now I'm going to fold along all of my score lines before I add my pattern paper pieces. I find that it's easier to get them straight. I can see the score lines a bit clearer once I fold along all of those. Okay, and you can see there where the two little holes are at the top. You want those to overlap your lace piece. And it means you don't have any separate rings, small pieces to worry about. It's all together. Okay, and once I've popped that into place, I can move on to the pattern paper piece for the side of the bag. So when I'm putting these pieces on the front and the back of the bag, you can use the holes to line up, and then just make sure that the top of your pattern paper piece just butts up against where that lace is, so there's no gap, and then it will be in the right position. Okay, we've got the other piece to do now, which is exactly the same. The front and the bag, the front and the back of the bag don't have any difference at all. So again, I'm adding some glue as quickly as I can here. And then we'll pop it into place, making sure we've got an even border all the way round and that the holes aren't obstructed. And we'll pop some glue onto the side lace piece, and we'll butt that up against the edge of the front lace piece. And then we'll move on to the pattern paper after I fold along the score lines. It doesn't matter which order you do this in. You can fold it before or after, but it gives you a visual. It makes it a lot clearer where those score lines are. So when you're putting your pattern paper pieces on, that you're not getting them skew with. Okay, we'll add a fine line of glue to this piece. We'll pop it on the front of our bag. We'll make sure those holes are lined up, and the top of this paper piece butts up against that lace edge. Moving on to this other side. And the only thing really to look out for here is that you've got your pattern the right way round. I've got a cat chiming in the background here. I think Lily wants to get in on the vocal. Okay, so now we need to join our two bag pieces together. So we'll pop some glue along this side tab. And then again, I'm butting up these lace pieces. Then give it a press from the inside. Just make sure that it's all held firmly. And then add some glue to the other side tab. And this will close our bag up. Fold this over, put some pressure on it, and then we can move on to our flower element. Now I did think twice about adding this flower element as my pattern paper was quite busy, but if you're ever using some quite plain pattern paper, then I think, you know, it'll really add something extra to your bag. So I'm adding this darker pink piece onto my leaf piece. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking, well, this is a pokey tool because it's got straight sides, it's not tapered, and I'm just rolling my petals around that tool. You could use anything for this, a paintbrush, a pencil, anything, and it just adds a little bit of dimension to the petals. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer them up by just adding some glue to the middle. But I want to make sure that I am gluing these central, so I'm lining up the petals with that darker pink piece, just to make sure that my glue is actually where it should be, in the middle, and then it's not offset. And then I'm going to add some shape to my leaves. So using the same tool, I'm going to start by bending my leaves upwards and then the edges downwards. But it doesn't matter. So, of course, this is an optional step. You can leave yours completely flat if you wish, or you can add some dimension. It's completely up to you. And then what you'll see in my, and what I will mention here is I added some glue to the middle and just the like the little stems of the leaves, but I didn't add any glue behind the leaves at all. But you could add maybe a 3D foam pad behind each one, and then that will keep that dimension there. But also in my finished photograph you'll see that I added some enamel dots to the middle of my flower, but afterwards I thought it would actually look quite nice with a nice big button in the middle, so you know, that's always an option. So now I'm putting glue all over the back of this white piece because I want this to be adhere down to the bag fully. And I'm lining up that top scallop with the middle of that lace piece. But I'm making sure that my leaves aren't obstructing those holes where the ribbon goes. So that way it's nice and central, but it's not in the way. Okay, now I'm moving on to the bottom now, and I'm taking my slightly larger piece because that's going to go on the outside. And I'm folding along all of my base tabs and adding some glue. Now you will find the top of your bag is actually all of these scallops on the lace level, so you can actually stand your bag up quite easily like this and add your base piece on. Okay, so I'm just adding some pressure to make sure that's taken hold. And then I'm going to flip the bag over and I'm going to get a bone folder. And I'm going to put some pressure on the tabs from the inside just to make sure that they are actually glued down properly. Then I'm going to add my inside piece. And this covers up the tabs, but it also adds some strength to the bottom as well. So I'm just going to pop that in, and again I'm going to get my bone folder and add some pressure from the inside. Come here, good girl. Okay, and that's your bag finished. So what you need to do now is to decide what you'd like in the middle of your flower. If you'd like to add enamel dots like I did, or a button, or some other embellishment, and then add some ribbon, pop it through the holes and tie a knot on the inside.